Right then guys, we're back. So this is probably going to be the most sketchy experiment we've done so far. I've been doing a bit of testing. We've used a lot of the real heavy hitting lead pellets. We've also used some of the lead free pellets. Now in the back of my mind, I've always got this worry with the lead free pellets, being as hard as they are, how much do they ricochet and what's going to happen if you were unlucky enough to get hit by a ricochet. Now, you lot will take the mick out of my winter safety squints. They're my summer safety squints. I'm not going to shoot through my own ones. So what we've got here is some basic British standard spec. Now these are actually the same specification in terms of impact rating as the ones that I wear in the workshop. These are just cheap glasses, so they don't have the same optical as in the glass or the plastic lens quality, if you like, but they're the same impact rating as the ones I wear in the workshop. Now sometimes I get these ideas for experiments and I almost don't really want to know the answer. So what we're going to do first, we're going to use the JSB Ultra Shocks. These are one of the heaviest hitting, hardest hitting 177 sub 12 pellets I've used. We've also got the JSB Exact. So these are basically lead-free JSB heavies. We're going to shoot one of these first at the clay that I've got down the end. I'll show you the setup. Shoot one of these, then we're going to shoot one of these to get a baseline to see what sort of impact damage they do to the clay. Then I'm going to set in front of them, I'm going to set the safety goggles, see if we can shoot through them. Now, with just under 25 yards, you'd have to be going some to get a shot in the face from this sort of distance. There would be a lot of negligence involved. Hopefully after that we're going to try and set up an experiment to see if we can ricochet off of a standard steel plate field target, see if we can ricochet off of that and see if we can go through the lens. Now I sincerely hope that we don't go through the lens with either lead or the lead-free pellets, but I really wanted to see whether or not a basic safety squint will actually do that, if it's actually safe enough. Obviously I've always got this concern that the lead-free pellets are not as safe as you imagine they are, because they're so much harder, they don't deform on impact. Now a lot of these appear to go into the target, they don't deform, they come back off and look like they're ricocheting almost as fast as they went in. Now a traditional lead pellet will hit that target, it almost explodes, breaks up, seems to dump all of its energy. So in my mind, for target shooting, the lead pellets are going to be a lot safer. I am a little bit concerned and I almost don't really want to know the answer, so I'll show you what I've got set up down the end. Let me see how it goes, shall we? Okay, so we're just under 25 yards. We've got block of clay. This is the same stuff that we used when we were shooting the Ultra Shocks a couple of videos back. Behind the clay is a clean bit of chipboard there. I'm going to get a single shot of each of the pellets off. So we'll do the Ultra Shock first, then we'll do the lead-free JSB. At this range, we should find that the Ultra Shocks are starting to deform quite significantly. We'll probably get a decent entry wound and a bit of an exit wound, and it'll probably also damage the chipboard behind. I reckon that the lead-free pellet's just going to drill straight through this. We won't get much energy imparted into the clay. Once we've done those two shots, I've just carefully removed the arms from those. I've done it carefully. There's not any damage. These are a brand new pair. I'm going to prop them up. I'm going to probably stick them in the clay slightly so that they're fairly rigid on there. And then we'll do a shot into each lens. Now, I don't quite know what to expect. I think, if anything, the lead pellet is going to hit these and probably go clean through it. I don't know what to expect with the lead-free. Going to be interesting. It's a bit sketchy. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm certainly not going to be doing the ricochet testing down here. We're going to go out onto open ground, so it's plenty safe. There's no one up here, there's no one around. When we start doing it, I'm going to probably bring the rangers in on a hunter field targets sort of course. The closest targets are 8 yards. Now when the courses are set out, the course setters, the course builders pay absolute attention to the angle of them targets and things and the firing line, so no one can really get ricochets. But with the lead-free pellets, I'm quite concerned that they're going to be ricocheting off more readily. So we're going to probably bring that range in a bit. We're probably going to shoot it at about 12 to 13 yards when we start doing the ricochet testing. Hopefully we can actually play it off of the metal plate target, probably off of the Crowzilla, through a lens into the clay. So let's get these shot and see how it goes. Right, let's have a little go then. So we go to the top left of that clay. We're going to start off with one of the Ultra Shocks, the lead ones. Can hear the goats behind me somewhere. He's out of the way. Right, top left then, so the lead pellet into the clay. Knock that magnification down. GoPro is on. Ooh. That hit the backboard hard. Right, lead-free JSB Exact. So these are based on the JSB heavies. They basically look like a tin version of a heavy. These actually are the most accurate of the lead-free pellets that we've used so far. Oh. Right, just going to go in a little bit below it, hopefully we'll stay on the board. Oh. Wow, okay, so the impacts look pretty similar. Let's go and have a look. Right, I'm just going to put a mark in there just so we know this is the lead free. The pellet's still in there. Right, there's your JSB Ultra Shock. It's still stuck in there, so it's gone through, hit the backboard, and it started to come back out again. Right, we'll keep that. Just got a complete flattened front on it. Normal lead pellet performance. It's expanded quite nicely. Actually, I can see the JSB lead-free heavy. Wow, that's barely deformed at all. Right, we'll take them back home with us and we'll have a look at them later on, but apart from some rifling grooves on there, that looks almost entirely unused. It looks like you can almost get that back through again. You can see here that the Ultra Shock's lost a lot of its energy on impact with the clay. There's barely any penetration into the backboard. You can see that the lead-free one just drills straight through that clay and it's got a much deeper hole into that chipped board there. So, ooh, right, let's get these glasses in front of it. Let's see what happens. Let's move that onto a slightly fresher bit of board. Stick those in my pocket. We'll take them home and have a look at those. Covered in clay. Right, that feels fairly rigid on there, pretty much as rigid as it would be on your face. So, right, so I've just pressed in the back edges of them glasses into there. They're fairly well stuck into that clay now, so they shouldn't hopefully fall down. We'll do the Ultra Shock first on the left, and then we'll do the lead-free on the right. I don't know what to expect here. I imagine that both of these at this range are just going to shatter these lenses. Don't know whether they're going to be much retained energy to get into the backboard, but we'll soon find out. Ooh, here we go then, first shot at the lenses. I don't know why, but this feels a little bit, I don't know, feels a bit dodgy. I'd sort of rather not know the answer, to be honest. Now, we've got the lead pellet in there first, we've got the Ultra Shock first. We'll go for the left lens and see what happens. The GoPro's on. Oh! Did it stop it? No way. That's pretty interesting. Let's go and have a quick look. Wow, honestly, I didn't expect that. We've got, can you see it on the background there? We've just literally got a dent. It hasn't even fractured it. Can you see that? There's just literally a divot on the top of the lens there. Wow. Okay, so I feel a bit more confident now actually with these. And bear in mind, these are just a basic pair. These are not even of the highest impact rating. Okay, let's put them back on there then. That's really surprising. So we're going to go for the lead-free JSB heavy this side, and this will be the true test then to see whether or not they actually do go through it. Wow. Okay, I feel a little bit more confident now. I feel a little bit safer. That's pretty cool. Right, but that was very unexpected. I was anticipating that that lead pellet would go clean through there. It's actually just put a little divot in the lens itself. So even a basic pair of safety goggles with the direct shot, let's say we're just under 25 yards, which to be honest, we may well end up doing a couple. Now it hasn't gone through, we may well end up reshooting them a bit closer later on. But this is the lead-free one, so GoPro's on down the end there. We'll go for the right lens. And this would be the real true test. If we've all got to switch to lead-free in the future, how safe are they? Oh, it didn't go through. What? Okay, so these lenses are pretty good. Let's go and have a look at that. Right, well that is a surprise. I was genuinely expecting that they would go through it. There's a significantly bigger dent in the lens, but it hasn't actually fractured it or anything like that. It's a much smaller divot. In fact, if you run your fingernail over that, you can only feel just a gentle dent, but with the lead-free, you can see that that's actually put quite a sizable dent. That's probably about 2 millimeters deep. But on the plus side, if you got a shot directly to the eye, you'd be all right. That certainly might get a little bit of a bruise around the face where you got a whack from the frame, but certainly that would be the least of your worries. They're a lot safer than I anticipated. Bearing in mind these are a basic set of British standard goggles. I think these are about £3 from Screwfix, so they're definitely cheap. Not the greatest lens quality, but if an accident happened, if the worst happened, they would certainly save your eyesight for sure. So it seems a bit mad now to try and do the ricochet testing. However, what we want to do now is bring the range in and see how close you'd have to be to actually shoot through this set. These have got quite minimal damage on here, so I think we'll be alright to reshoot these lenses again. We're going to bring that range in. Let's drop it to 15 yards and see whether or not we can actually get through, eh? Right, okay, so we're in a new spot now, then we're at 15 yards. I'm going to go with the Ultra Shock first. Now, I'll be honest, I feel better knowing that the safety glasses are actually working at 25 yards, to be honest. It would have been really cool to have a thumbnail with a smashed up lenses and stuff like that, but yeah, definitely feel better knowing that they do work. So we're going to go for the left lens again with the JSB Ultra Shock. See if it does go through at this range. Well, it hasn't hit the clay. Well, hopefully you can see that there. So you've got two pellets almost stacked on top of each other. Now, the experiment's almost failing, but to be honest, I feel quite happy that they haven't gone through. Now you can see that was the first impact. This is at 25 yards that we did these first ones. Even at 15 yards here, it's barely gone. Slightly bigger dent, that's about it. So we're going to do the same again now at 15 yards with the lead free. You can see here that at 25 it's certainly put a much bigger dent in it. I reckon that 15 yards it may well go through. So hopefully we'll get something cool happen, but I certainly feel more confident now that safety goggles are working, so it's not all bad. Right then, so 15 yards, we're going to do the lead free again. Now the fact remains that although neither of these have gone through the glasses thus far, I would certainly recommend, if you are using lead free, guys, that you do wear glasses, because these are, despite not going through the lenses, they are much more prone to ricocheting. They ping all over the place. I've tested quite a lot of these. I've done a few various videos on them before, and although they won't go through your glasses, they are still very dodgy. You catch one in the cheek or in the face, it's going to flip it out. It'll probably definitely break the skin. So definitely would be a wise thing to be wearing eye protection as an absolute minimum, really. Right, let's send it, shall we? Right lens, let's see what happens. Oh, something happened. There's something on the back of that clay. Well, that's me getting overexcited. There's just a little blemish on the clay there somewhere. Hopefully you can see that. I thought that had gone through or something had happened, but look at that. 15 yards. Just another dent in it. Marginally deeper than the first one, as you'd imagine. Slightly more energy at that range, but yeah, that's really surprising. I think the next thing we're going to do then, I'm going to get another pair of these on, fresh pair. We're going to see how close a range we can get before we actually blow through them, see if we can actually get through them at all with a sub-12 air rifle, so that'd be pretty cool. Right then, 10 yards. Do a quick kneeler. Everything's going to be a little bit out of focus on this scope, but got a pair of the old glasses on. They seem to be pretty good, especially for budget ones. Now they look tragic. Can you actually see anything through the scope? I'll tell you what, it's not too bad. Right, we'll go for the same side, we'll go for the right lens as we're looking at. This hasn't gone through. Wow. Right, third shot. I'm pretty well stacking them, especially for an 8-yard kneeler. 2 mil dots of holdover. Not bad, but more surprisingly, they still haven't gone through. Let's have another go with the old Ultra Shocks, and then I might have a little root around in the bag, see what I've got in there, see if we can actually get through them with anything. Well, certainly feel a bit safer now. Right then. Ultra Shock, 10 yards, kneeling. See what happens, shall we? I'll tell you what, actually, these, considering they're cheap, and they're them weird ones that you can put over glasses as well, the image quality through the scope is not that bad. Although my setup is a bit weird, I've been shooting it prone, so it's not optimised for a kneeler. Right, ready? On the left. Wow, it hasn't gone through again. Well, that is really surprising. Right, nope, still not going through. Come on, focus. Look at that. It's just a couple of dents in it, no signs of a fracture, no signs of anything. That's really impressive. You can see that there's definitely more energy imparted into it from the lead free, or certainly more damage than the lead pellets, but not even a sign of a crack on there, so that's pretty impressive. It's quite encouraging. Not sure what to do next. Right, we've got a QYS streamlined heavy here, so that's a particularly hard pellet, standard lead pellet. Normal slightly domed tip on it, so of course the Ultra Shocks have got a hollow point on them, and the other ones are much lighter, so this is a heavyweight solid lead, slightly domed tip. At 10 yards, we'll go for the left lens again. Still didn't go through. They're a particularly hard hitting pellet as well, wow. Right, now we've got a couple of pellet strikes stacked on top of each other. We've got a fairly big dent in there now, but still no signs of fracturing or anything like that. So the majority of your common ammunition in a sub 12 air rifle, you're pretty safe even with a basic set of glasses. So not such a win for the video, not such a win for a really mad thumbnail, but certainly a win for safety of us shooting. Right then guys, we're back. I decided against going any closer to them. The chances of actually getting a ricochet back off the lens towards me was getting a bit ridiculous really, but I've got to be honest, I'm really surprised. Even for a really budget safety sort of glasses, they're really quite tough. Obviously that's what they're designed to do. It has made me a bit more confident in my own safety squints as well. Of course, I'm regularly working with these in the workshop. I've had bits of wood and stuff fly back at me over the years, but to actually see how much of an impact they can take, I mean, it's only a sub 12 air rifle. I've got no doubt that certainly in the higher powers you'd probably get through these. I think what I will do, I've got a couple more pairs that I had for the test. I'm going to end up giving them to my mates, or get one of the boys to come up with the high power stuff, sort of 40-50 foot-pounds in 2.2 and 2.5. We'll see if any of the boys can actually shoot through them, because it would certainly be interesting. What was probably the biggest surprise was actually that was the one that we shot through just into the clay. So it went through the clay, hit the backboard and came back again. And other than some sort of rifling marks on it, it's basically almost undamaged. Now, the fact remains that lead-free ammo is certainly going to be a lot more susceptible to ricochet. Whether or not them ricochets are dangerous enough to get you in the eyes, if you've got no eye protection, you really ought to be, especially if you're shooting on metal plate targets. Now, all of my shooting's either into a wooden backstop or a lead backstop, which pretty much mitigates any ricochets. With the lead pellets, of course, on a metal plate target, if you're using, say, just a standard JSB heavy, it splats, it dumps all that energy, chances of ricochets are greatly reduced. This was really interesting because it's actually, hopefully you can see that, the middle section of that pellet there, look, was actually completely blown out when that hit the clay and went through. Completely flattened it. We've used these before. We've got a video up from a fortnight ago. They're really quite an impressive heavy pellet. They dump all that energy, and certainly for a pest control pellet in sub 12 you could certainly do a lot worse than those. I was hoping overall that we'd end up getting some really mad blown out clay. I was hoping that we'd get a splat through the lens, but I mean, these are really quite tough, I've got to be honest. I mean, what more do you expect? I mean, a cheap set of safety glasses, yeah, it's great. Hopefully we can get something like this down the line with the higher powered stuff. The impacts you can see here, there's a very small impact into the clay with the lead free. It's basically just drilled a hole straight through it, straight out the back and into the board. Now, it didn't have enough energy to stick into the board. It then ended up back halfway in, almost actually right back out again. In fact, when we was doing the filming with the Ultra Shocks a fortnight ago, they were actually going through the clay, hitting the backboard and almost bouncing clean back out of the clay again. I would have liked to have done a couple of really close-up shots, but it was getting a bit too dodgy. Didn't really feel comfortable doing it. If I'd had a little rig to actually set it up, a stand or something like that, where I could fire it from a safe distance, I probably would. But should it come to it and we end up with a lead ban, and we have to use these lead-free pellets, certainly safety glasses are going to have to be much more of a consideration, and certainly the types of targets and probably the course layouts as well will definitely have to be thought about. Really, it's going to have to be a completely different setup to using lead pellets, so not just an ammo swap. It's going to mean that the whole target disciplines, the targets themselves are going to have to change, potentially targets that actually collect them. I don't know, it's certainly an avenue I don't really want to go down unless we absolutely have to. So for the moment, we've got lead pellets. Hopefully it will never come to it that we end up having to use these. There is a few clubs in the UK at the moment that are only lead free. Now, I don't know. I'm going to try and find out whether or not they stipulate that safety glasses are a must. But I'll tell you this, if it were me, if you were using lead free pellets at any range really on metal targets or anything like that, I would absolutely consider wearing those. So not really a fail. I was hoping to get some really cool ricochet shots, try and set up a little in and off, you know, try and do something really cool. Didn't pan out like that, but your budget safety glasses are certainly going to be worth considering if that's the way we've got to go, unfortunately. So that'll do it for this one, guys. I will see you in the next one.